Good afternoon once again. My name is Davis Hijiro, and I will be your co host today alongside Tessie Kaven, my colleague at the New Times. Hi, Tessie.
Hello, Davis, and hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here, ready to have this conversation.
Thank you, Tessie. And please allow me to welcome our dear speakers. And let me start with Pamela Mudachikwa. Hi, Pamela. Pamela, can you hear me? As we wait for Pamela to respond, Malik Shafi, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm all right. Thank you. How are you?
Good, good. I take this opportunity to test the sound, and I think we are good to go on your side. Also, and among the speakers, we have Shantari. Hi, Shantari.
Hi, Davis.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, good. Pamela, can you hear us? I think Pamela might be having some technical issues, and we'll wait for her. And joining us as well in a short while is Victor. Victor is a representative from the Ministry of ICT. Victor is the emerging technology senior technologist at Ministry of ICT. Will be joining us in a few. And allow me to introduce our topic today about artificial intelligence and the Rwandan culture. The purpose of our space today is to explore how artificial intelligence can be harmonized with the Rwandan cultural values and ethical principles. So we aim to examine both the potential benefits of artificial intelligence in promoting the Rwandan societal values and challenges, ensuring that the artificial intelligence systems do not perpetuate biases or erode cultural heritage. So we all know artificial intelligence is being used in almost every sector. All sectors are doing everything possible to utilize, to leverage this rising technology. So we need to talk about, to bring this topic to the Rwandan culture. How can we leverage it? Is it even possible? So that's our topic today. We have speakers who are more than ready to debate and talk about this interesting topic. And I'd like to remind you that our space today will be in two languages, both Kinyarwanda and English. Be free to ask a question, intervene in any language between Kinyarwanda and English. Please, we request you to spread and share this space in your circles so that many people can come and listen, and as well as share their thoughts. So without further ado, allow me to begin for us to have this interesting conversation. My first question, I'd like Malik, I would like to start with you. Please tell us why is it even important in the first place that the Rwandan culture, in response or in regards to this growing and rising technology of artificial intelligence, why is it important to catch up? We've seen this we've seen artificial intelligence make impact in the health sector, in education sector, in different sectors. But how and why is it even important that we bring the Rwandan culture, we use this rising technology to promote our culture? So if this question is understandable to you, please, Malik, the floor is yours. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Maybe let's just have a general overlook of AI, right? So why, to start with, do we have AI, right? And then AI specifically was created to really facilitate or support in general people's life, right? So, and this is why, in general, some of the people have problems that AI is there to take their jobs, right? because AI is created, designed to facilitate our day-to-day life, right? Being in medical, being in science. We used to say that everything would change in technology, but would never see something change in creative industry. And then AI has shown us that everything is possible, right? Because now in creative industry, there's so much you can do with AI. So I would look at Rwandan culture as one, as I'll consider Rwandan culture as a sector as well, right? Because the Rwandan culture it's where it's preserved. It's the books we write about our culture. It's the talks like this we talk about the Rwandan culture, etc. So now imagine when you have the power of AI in Rwandan culture, right? So people would be able to write books, fact check on things online, using AI, etc. I used to one of the simple example, which it's maybe not much of AI, but it's a good example of how Rwandan culture should be, or we Rwandan should consider to use the new technologies in building or highlighting Rwandan culture. Sinzi abantu hano mushobora kuba muri familia n'intambara yo ku Rucunshu, which is such a historical moment, but that is also very dramatic. And then I used to tell filmmakers that imagine if someone one day will create a whole 3D movie, y'intambara yo ku Rucunshu. It will probably be the most dramatic movie I have ever seen in my life. So now imagine everything that things like these AI platforms are doing. If then you start embedding AI, right? What you will get. And nowadays, people who fails to build concepts, being Rwandan culture or any other culture, they simply use AI. So what we need to do is we just need to feed AI with the right information so that it can be as helpful to us, and then instead of being misleading. Thanks.
Thank you, Malik. So when we talk about the cultural values, I want you to help us align it with, when we talk cultural values, Rwandan cultural values, we're meaning unity, patriotism, social cohesion, resilience, hard work. How I like the point you mentioned, you brought up about feeding artificial intelligence the right information. Now, this is the information. It's about the cultural values. Really, is it the right time to catch up, to use artificial intelligence to align it with our Rwandan values?
Okay, values is what we live with, right? If you are giving me examples of unity, agaciro, gukunda igihugu n'ibindi. So these are the things we live with as people, right?
Yeah.
And AI is simply a tool, right? It's a technology tool that help us to achieve something in one way or another. So I would not really want even try to compare these two things in a sense that is it right or is it not right. I would instead say our values, how can we use machine learning how can we educate machine learning Rwandan values, right? So imagine one day if ChatGPT has so much knowledge on Rwandan values, and then when you start prompting requests, ukayibwira ngo nyandikira umuvugo uvuga kuri simbizi ku bumwe bw'abanyarwanda, and then AI will just give you a really nice poem about it. So I would really see AI is a channel, right? And then AI give us what we give it to it.
I agree with you, and we'll come back to different parts of the Rwandan culture and the history as well. But right now, allow me to welcome Victor Muvunyi. He was the speaker who wasn't with us as we introduced the other speakers. Victor, you're welcome.
Thank you. My name is Victor Muvunyi. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, I work with the Ministry of ICT and Innovation in the Department of Innovation and Emerging Technologies. So I don't know if I can really dive in, or maybe I will wait for you to to ask me maybe a specific question.
Yes. Allow me to ask you a question so that you can dive in with a sense of line. So, Mr. Victor, with the Rwandan culture, you know, culture in general, I mean, worldwide, there is nothing like the one size fits all approach. It cannot work, because there are different cultures within the world. Rwanda has a different culture from America, from Canada, from other countries. But now, since it's a different set of culture, we can't have one set of prompt that will align with different cultures. How can there be a proper intersection of artificial intelligence and the Rwandan culture, considering the diversity?
Okay, thank you. I believe that's quite an open question, but I try to find my way out. So
Yes.
basically, I believe that was also one of the reasons why the government of Rwanda took the lead of developing an AI policy. It was really to put to express what is the intent of Rwandans, represented, of course, by the government, spearheaded by the Minister of ICT, as its mandate is to oversee all these emerging technologies and innovation in general. But let me just really give you maybe a little bit of exactly what do we mean by when we're talking about AI as a policy. We mentioned all the pillars that would build this AI to become beneficial to Rwandans.
Yes.
Among those pillars, there is one that is very specific on that, which is ethical guidelines. And of course, ethics, I think that's why it links with our cultural dimension. And then whenever we're talking about culture, whenever we even have like use cases from our innovators who are trying to put Kinyarwanda through modeling Kinyarwanda. You've heard about digital Muganda. You've heard about even different I know there's many people. I don't want to mention a few so that I don't forget others, but there is a lot of initiatives around that. And while doing that, we are really putting Kinyarwanda to these emerging technology platforms, so that whenever some of these, even let alone the cultural difference. By the way, there's a whole link, but let me just even point out on the usability of even the tool. Some use cases, for instance, that are relevant to even our Rwandan people is the use case that is being developed with the Center for the Fourth Industrial Revolution, with RBC, on community health, a chatbot that could support community health workers through their everyday to-day activities, which is to advise our local people on health issues. And this chatbot is being developed in Kinyarwanda so that it can really, at least Rwandans, they all speak Kinyarwanda. So we want them to not, again, this is again a way of even to ensure that the adoption of this application could be a success. Well, that is me talking about the use cases, of course, and linking it to the culture, but I'm not an expert in culture, maybe, but I will maybe as we continue talking about this subject. I would also want maybe to even say something that I think the Malik mentioned about AI gives us what we give it to it. But now AI is becoming a little bit powerful because now we are talking about generative AI. And maybe you talked about ChatGPT. You've also maybe heard about Midjourney, whereby you can even say something and then it generates that something. Maybe you can remember the previous use cases were like just, you give it like a couple of images and to maybe mention this is a cat, this is a dog. But now you can even say cat and it gives you a cat. So you can understand like that generative power AI is coming with. Actually, we have to be at the forefront of making sure that really it expresses our cultural values and what we want to express, at least maybe for the next generation, if I may say. So thank you.
Victor, thank you very much, and I'm sure we're going to come back to that conversation, especially around policy. But allow me to bring in Chantal. Chantal, my question to you is, what would you say are the pros and cons, of using artificial intelligence technologies to promote the Rwandan culture? What are the pros and cons? Chantal, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. I'm speaking from Huye. I'm at Ethnographic Museum, where we recently launched the virtual tour of Ethnographic Museum. But it's not only that project that we launched this year, we also launched the collection of Rwandan heritage on Google Arts and Culture. So what I can say, the importance of using AI to promote Rwandan heritage or Rwandan culture is to allow people have easy accessibility to it and have the accurate information of Rwandan culture. There is Malik who said that we feed AI with the rightful information. And as you know, many people are saying that, buri gitondo umuntu akabyuka agashyira ibintu online, and even people are being called like uyu ni umu expert, ariko ukibaza umu expert mu biki, muri Rwandan culture yabyigiye hehe, cyangwa se amakuru afite yayakuye hehe. So for us, we launched those two projects just to help people have the accurate information, not only from technological experts, but also from the culture and language experts. And that's one of the importance of having AI as a tool to promote Rwandan heritage. But also there are so many importance or advantages of having that AI, preserving oral traditions. He mentioned Intambara Kuruchunshu, but the way we got to know Intambara Kuruchunshu is what we heard from the ancestors. Ababyeyi bagiye batubwira ibi n'ibi n'ibi n'ibi. So the AI also has that capacity of preserving that oral tradition, because as my colleague from Mini ICT was saying, there is this generative AI that even recognize the voice. So we in future, or what we are trying to do is to use that technology to record, to transcribe, and even translate oral histories to ensure that these valuable narratives are preserved and accessible to future generation. And from my experience carrying out that project, another advantage of having the AI to promote Rwandan heritage is digital archiving. We have a lot of information. We have a lot of pictures, for example, preserved at the museum. But this provide a tool or to archive those photographs and the information about them so that they can be easily accessible to the future generation. And maybe we can also use AI as a tool to preserve the cultural artifacts. Let me give you an example. Here at the museum, we used to have Ikirenge cya Ruganzu, but nowadays we loaned that artifact to Ikirenga Cultural Troupe. They are in Rurindo. But as you know, it might be subjected to threats, like umuntu ashobora kuza akaba yakiba ko yumvise ari imari iri hariya. I don't know, I'm not questioning abari hariya nimba bagi preserving the way we used to preserve, but with AI we can reproduce a replica which can be easily accessible to anyone without damaging the original artifact that we only have. So the advantages are so many, and those are just some few examples I was giving, but of course there are some disadvantages. When you put something online, there are some risks of misappropriation, nk'umu artist akaduha nk'igihangano cye, yes, we put that information online, ariko umuntu akaba yakigana agashaka kugicuruza somewhere. Aho ngaho rero yeah, it's a question, but as you know, our government thought of different policies that can protect the ownership, that can protect that intellectual property. So that's where intellectual property and even copyright may come in. So when you compare the pros and cons of the AI, I can say ibyiza nibyo byinshi kurusha ibice byaza, but if we take like measurements on how to mitigate those those issues that may arise due to AI, twavuga ko ibyiza ari byo byinshi. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much Chantal, urakoze cyane. Munyemerere mbibutse yuko iyi space, iki kiganiro kiri kuba mu ndimi ebyiri, mu Kinyarwanda no mu Cyongereza, so mubohoke kuba mwakoresha rumwe muri izo ndimi zombi. Kandi ikindi, ufite ikibazo, ufite inyunganizi, dufite comment section, feel free to use the comment section to ask a question, direct it to one of the speakers, or even any inyunganizi yawe, ikintu wumva wakunganira kuri iki kiganiro turimo turagira ahangaha. Hanyuma ndagira ngo dukomeze, ariko ngerageje kuvuga mu ncamake ibyo speakers bavuze, bamaze kuvuga, bakomojeho. Urugero Malik yavuze kuntu rino koranabuhanga ririmo riratera imbere, ariyo bita artificial intelligence. Ni igikoresho gihabwa information, gihabwa amakuru agiye atandukanye. Ayo makuru gihabwa niyo nacyo gihabwa. Igihe cyose gihawe amakuru nyayo gitanga amakuru nyayo, igihe cyose gihawe amakuru adakwiriye gitanga amakuru adakwiriye. Yatanze urugero rwiza cyane, aravuga ati nk'ubu ngubu iri koranabuhanga riramutse rigezweho ku rugero abantu babasha kurikoresha kugira ngo babike amateka y'inkuru za Kinyarwanda nk'intambara yo ku Rucunshu. Yagiye atanze urwo rugero avuga ati ubu ngubu hari amashusho twabasha kurema ajyanye asobanura bimwe mu bintu byagiye biba mu myaka yagiye itambuka. Victor nawe yakomoje ku kuntu muri minisiteri na leta hari ibikorwa byinshi biri kujya mbere kugira ngo habeho iterambere iri koranabuhanga, kugira ngo rino koranabuhanga ribyazwe umusaruro. Yatubwiye ko hariho chatbot imeze ikoreshwa kugira ngo Ikinyarwanda itange information, itange amakuru ari mu Kinyarwanda, ari mu rurimi rwacu rwa kavukire, ururimi rwacu rwa hano mu Rwanda. So Chantal umaze kuvuga nawe akomoje ku bintu byinshi cyane, harimo kubungabunga bimwe mu mateka ya Kinyarwanda. Yatanze urugero aribyo asa nkaho asorejeho rw'ukuntu hariho ibintu uyu munsi bishobora kubungwabungwa bikaba byarindirwa umutekano wabyo hakoreshejwe ikoranabuhanga. Aranzura avuga ati ikoranabuhanga rya artificial intelligence rifite ibyiza byinshi kurusha ibibi. So going forward, allow me to engage Pamela. As we embrace artificial intelligence and back on the journey of digitizing our history, nk'uko as Chantal just touched about it, how do we ensure that the facts remain unchanged or pure? It's a sensitive topic when it comes to Rwanda, our history, the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi. It's not something that really needs to be altered or changed. The way it is, it has to remain the way it is. And artificial intelligence can bring a twist, one or two. But how do we ensure that the facts remain unchanged? Thank you. The floor is yours, Pamela. Pamela, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Pamela?
Yes, Davis.
Nice. You had the question?
Yeah, I heard it. I missed the very, very last part of it. I heard.
Yes. So basically, is to you tell us in your opinion where you stand, how you think we can ensure that the Rwandan history, is not unchanged. It remains the original version, the original story. Because AI can bring a twist or two. So please tell us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Davis, and the team at the New Times for organizing this space and for having us. My name is Pamela Mudakikwa. I am your colleague on this platform. So actually, in my opinion, I won't really add so much on what those who spoke before me said, because I want to first emphasize that AI is just another tool. Ifite nyine ibindi bintu bihambaye kurusha imbere, but it remains a tool that we are going to use for both feeding and using it. Nanone nk'uko Malika yavugaga ati tuyisaba ibyo twayihaye, so now for it to help us maintain the original history or the original culture or the original ethics, the values, we are the ones who are responsible for that. One of the key areas of the policy that Victor mentioned, the AI policy, is AI literacy. So I believe that we need to get educated, all of us, the users, those who feed those information, uko Chantal yabivugaga, everybody who is in charge of feeding that information in the systems, in the computers, they need to be literate about AI, how we use it, how we manage it, how we see it as an opportunity instead of it becoming a threat to us. Us standing behind the computers, scared about what AI is going to do to our history, scared about what AI is going to do to our culture. Instead of reacting that way or behaving that way, we need to be on top of the game. So we need to make sure all the information needed, we have it. We are the ones who own our history, our culture. So we are also the ones, we are the authors, we are the writers, we are the developers. So we are really responsible for anything. If it's going to be twisted, it will be on us. If it's going to be changed, if the originality of the history and everything is going to be threatened, it will be on us. So we are in charge, and how to go about that. And I think the policymakers in charge of ICT and the AI literacy. I don't know how to do that. Maybe Victor will intervene on this. But if there are programs designed to educate, to train people, to train probably IT users or the users in general, regardless of the categories or where they work or what they do in life. Because mbona ko kenshi iyo tugiye n'ababitwistinga sometimes uretse ikibazo cya ethics, ariko sometimes hari ubwo bikorwa kubera no kutamenya, ariko niba tubona AI as an opportunity yo kuvuga ngo amateka yacu first of all aba abitswe, abe ahari, abe ari accessible, ari available to anybody, yaba ari mu Rwanda yaba ari hanze, that one we should see it as an opportunity, a golden opportunity, by the way, kuko icyo gihe tuzaba tuzi ngo anyone uzicara akatayipinga muri chat GPT or whatever, ndashaka kumenya amateka y'u Rwanda, ndashaka kumenya really what happened in Rwanda, ndashaka kumenya amateka y'abami, ndashaka ikihe icyo ari cyo cyose, we need to ensure that that information is provided for in the machines, in the computers, in the systems, in the AI systems, and then we educate our people. We talk about it just the way you are doing it here, Korea space. We encourage each other on that responsibility, the responsibility we have to preserve our history, our memory, our content, our the treasure of our culture and everything, ubwo buvanganzo, ibyo bihangano byose. So kuri njyewe rero, to answer your question, niba tufashije abantu kuba responsible mu kufidinga ayo makuru no kuyashaka no kuyakoresha, I think we will be able to be on top of that game. Thank you.
Pamela, thank you very much. Very valid points you've said there. Education is key, and we are in charge of the information that goes out there. Remember, you can actually intervene, just like some of you are. I can see you, Mr. Kamagambe. Let me give you the space, or rather the floor. Just give us your intervention on this same question. Go ahead.
Thank you very much. And I look at this question: can I align with Rwandan cultural values? Can AI that looks at AI and wants to make sure it doesn't hurt us, it doesn't jeopardize certain things that are about us as a society. There is another block that looks at AI as a God-sent thing, and they will embrace it, and sometimes not even cautious enough as to what can be its downside. And I seem to come from that block, where I look at AI as something beautiful, as something that can take us miles. And I need someone who can ask this question so that I'm not reckless as I go with AI. This one who asks, can AI align with Rwandan cultural values and ethics? Because for me, I would have put it like, how can we leverage AI to get the best or promote our culture and things like that? And talking about culture, which I'm also very, very passionate about, I look at culture and know what we say as Rwandans, or the scholars say, the importance of language in culture, in promoting it, in maintaining it, and in nurturing it. And lately I have been talking to someone, actually someone has been talking to me, and then it ended up becoming a conversation because I could see what he was saying made sense. That person was saying, if I mentioned him here, it's not necessarily everyone would know that person, their name, because he's known in the media, in the media fraternity. But he was telling me that we may not get the best out of the AI era simply because our language is not fine enough mu myandikire. Ati hari amagambo, for example, that we are not consistent in the, for example, buryo ijambo icyemezo ryandikwa CYE cyangwa se ikemezo KE, things like that. Akongera akambwira ati, look at how in English the phrase or sentence I love you is made up of 3 words. Mu Kinyarwanda is 1 word, ndagukunda. Umugabo mu Cyongereza is a man. And he was taking me to school, and I started getting interested. And he was saying, muri iyi myandikire yacu y'Ikinyarwanda, nitutagira ibyo dutunganya, we are likely not to get the best of out of AI. And for me, I was listening, and I'm bringing it here, especially because that guy told me that he is making inroads into the Ministry of ICT, and I can see there's someone here from ICT. N'abandi ariko batari necessarily from ICT. Does it uwo muntu ibyo arimo kuvuga ese nibyo koko ururimi rwacu uburyo rumeze rukomeje kuba rumeze gutya? Imyandikire murabizi namwe muri aha ngaha mugiye kwandika ikinyarwanda, hari bimwe abo byagora ijambo ugasanga uko uryumva nuko wumva ryakwandikwa siko bimeze, bavuga ntibavuga, buriya niyo mpamvu bavuga ntibavuga ikomeza kuza, nuko wowe ibyo uba utekereza ukurikije uko wize izindi ndimi ukumva uko byakwandikwa, atari ko wowe birangira ubyanditse. So I would like to hear from Malik again, and someone from I think Victor, even Chantal. Hari ibyo tutazabona mu buryo bwihuse from AI nitutagira ibyo tunoza. That's my question. Otherwise, ku bigendanye na n'umuco, impungenge umva jyewe impungenge numva nazo rwose. I just want to end with reference to an observation made by the president the other day muri ya prayer breakfast, avuga ati ibintu byose rega ni ukubyoroshya, ati iby'idini nitutabyoroshya ntacyo tuzakuramo cyangwa zizadukomerera. Ashyiramo n'iby'umuco, ati ibintu n'umuco, ati n'umuco ugundiriye, you will end up not making headway, not progressing. So I think if even AI, it's a matter of looking at it tugendana n'umuco wacu from an easy point of view, from a point of view that says yes, why not? Let's just run with it, make sure that it helps us move fast. Kosh nuza impungenge tuzigabanye, ahubwo tube as ambitious as we can be to get the best out of it. Miracles.
Well, urakoze cyane. Thank you, Mr. Kabagambe. We have you have an interesting take there about the Rwandan language, Ikinyarwanda, and I would love to hear someone respond to your question. You said Malik, if you are ready, please respond briefly to Mr. Kabagambe's concern and what they discussed with his media friend.
First of all, I really need to clarify one thing about AI. I am always afraid that abantu bari kuvuga AI, they always refer to generative AI. Kuko nibwo abantu benshi basobanukiwe AI. So abantu benshi basobanukiwe AI when ChatGPT came, Midjourney and everything. And this is 0.05% of what AI is. Yeah. And this is what we usually refer to AI, turi kuvuga ChatGPT. But AI actually started as early as in 1950s. And this is simply a human intelligence that exhibited by machines. Yeah.
Yes, Malik, we can hear you.
And we will be things like, iyo ugiye kuri YouTube ukareba umuziki cyangwa se ukareba content y'umuntu particularly, the next day you ugiye kuri YouTube, they give you the same content. Yeah. So that's AI that is learning your behavior. Ikamenya ngo Marike akunda kureba zino content, so therefore ndamuha iyi content. We all have, if you niba ufite iPhone, we all have interacted n'ibintu nka Siri n'ibindi nk'ibyo byose. Or what my friend from IC talked about in terms of chatbot. Even these messages to interacting nazo ukohereza message ugahita ubona indi ako kanya, those are machine learnings. And the really AI is as big as it can be in that way. So now, if I come back to generative AI, that a lot of people like to call AI, nk'ibyo ngibyo wenda by'ikibazo by'ikinyarwanda, I understand how it can be a blocker. But again, as I said earlier, harimo ibibazo bibiri. Harimo ikibazo cyo gukemura ikibazo cy'imyandikire, cyangwa se ikibazo cy'ikinyarwanda muri rusange. Ntabwo ndi umu expert mu kinyarwanda. I will have very small take at that. But in terms of content creation, there is a big blocker, as they said. Kubera ko first of all ikinyarwanda iyo uvuze ijambo rimwe umuntu ashaka kuryumvamo amagambo atanu. And the only way we can solve this is what I said at the beginning. We need to keep feeding AI with so much information. Tugomba gukoresha AI cyane. So when I was listening, and then I can tell anyone to do this, nagiye kuri ChatGPT nandikaho intambara yo ku rucunshu, bampa definition y'intambara yo ku rucunshu, and I tweaked it. Ndavuga ni intambara yo ku rucunshu actually ntago yari irimo abakoloni, ntago yari irimo n'ibi. Now give me a story in English that is inspired by intambara yo ku rucunshu. So he wrote me something, and then I went back again. I told but actually intambara yo ku rucunshu didn't happen in this region. Please, intambara yo ku rucunshu happened in this region. So they gave me another option. So as much as we prompt AI, and then iyo baguhaye ijambo ritari ryo urarikosora ukabwira AI ngo change this. So now aho ngaho harimo izindi issues nyinshi cyane kubera yuko hazamo ibintu bya data consent, and as you know iyo uri gukoresha ChatGPT they take all your prompts for future learnings. So all in all, we should expose this machine learning to different people so that they can explore it. I would want to see events z'abana bicaye ahantu bari guprompting as much as they can prompt, because more prompts, more learnings.
Malik, thank you very much. I know we don't have much time with you, so allow me to just ask you this one last question about the dark side of AI. We know, I mean, there is a dark side. We have things like deep fakes, misinformation. How do we handle this? How do we tackle this? Just before you drop off. Thank you.
So maybe let me actually speak this in a Rwandan context a bit. Nagiye no kuma deep fake n'ibindi. My biggest challenge of the dark side of AI, it's somehow instilling ubunebwe mu bantu. So we see people really making less effort nowadays on writing emails or do what they are supposed to do, and then rely a lot on AI, which is not a bad thing. You should rely on AI, but exactly knowing what you're working on, right? I think if you use AI a lot nowadays, you can even tell umuntu wakwandikiye message cyangwa se email akoresheje AI. Every message will have an end of conclusion, n'utudomo tubiri. Someone who made a tweet yasabye AI zose zitangirwa ngo in the heart of Rwanda. There is those type of things that nowadays really make me so sad that AI is creating ikintu cy'ubunebwe mu bantu, that we should have used it in a good way. Because if you use AI in a good way, igusavingira umwanya, right? But you need to be super smart kugira ngo nanone kuko icyo gihe ni wowe wita wigaragaza, actually tugaragaza yuko uri injiji kurusha uko wari kwandika email y'imirongo ibiri aho kugira ngo wandike email ya page 10 that you cannot even explain because you just copied and paste one prompt in any generative AI tool. So for me, in Rwanda, at least for now, that's the biggest part that I see as a dark side of AI. Iri creating ubunebwe, iri gutuma abantu biyumva in one way or another kandi wareba substance bafite ugasanga ntayihari vrema. The second is it's a lot of consent, intellectual property, and ethical use of AI. So there is a lot of policies that are being looked at. And then also, by the way, AI, it's very new to the world, especially generative AI. I'm talking about generative AI. It's really, really new to everyone in the world. We were joking the other day that umuntu umwe yarabyutse yita AI expert. Like every day there is a new AI tool. So how can you be an AI expert? So as we are learning so much on AI, we need to look at the dark side, and then a lot of that will come in policies. Yeah. So nowadays we are being blocked n'amategeko cyangwa se policies tutigeze dutekereza za social media. now AI is coming, it's going to even be worse. So I would really want to see a lot of policies, especially on ethical use, community consent a lot, because again, this is a huge, hungry platform that has a lot of information that has to be moderated in that way. And then lastly, intellectual property as well. So it's very easy nowadays gukopia, even for a matter of fact, gukopia tweet y'umuntu ukayishyira muri ChatGPT ikongera ikayandika nawe ukayipostinga. And then people thinks you are that smart. So there's a lot of ethical and policies that need to be looked at. But on a personal note, my biggest challenge now, especially in our environment, it's the laziness that AI is instilling rather than using it properly. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Malik. Thank you for the intervention on Mr. Kawagambe's concern and the dark side of artificial intelligence. If time allows us, we'll definitely hear one of our other speakers' opinion about this dark side. And Victor, do you want to say something?
Murakoze. Nagira ngo gusa ngire Ignatius, bwana Ignatius, ko iki gitekerezo natwe ko bakitugejeho Albert Rudatsimburwa, uretse ko atari nawe wenyine. Hari uburyo ikinyarwanda wa mugani cyagiye cyandikwa mu buryo wenda bw'icyo gihe. Wenda ngo nk'urugero rumwe yagiye atanga, Albert yatubwiye nk'ijambo ryatumye wa mugani tunabitekerezaho kabiri. Yatubajije ngo injangwe mwumva riva hehe? Turajijinganya, ariko atubwira ko ari ingwe y'inja. Umuja ni umuntu uba mu rugo, umukozi, ikaba rero ari ingwe iba mu rugo. Urumva yuko ubwabyo urebye wa mugani n'injangwe ubona ko isa nk'ingwe. Ariko wenda kugira ngo mbihe igisobanuro kinozeho gatoya ku bijyanye n'umumaro wo gukora amagambo gutyo, ni uko ikinyarwanda kitari cyonyine gifite aho gihurira n'izindi ndimi zo mu karere. Noneho iyo ukoze modo nziza ishobora wa mugani kumva, ubu nagiye kuvuga amagambo kwirinda kuvuga igifaransa, ariko wa mugani reka tubyoroshye, etimology, aho ijambo riva. Umuntu wakoze iyo modo biba binamuha amahirwe y'uko iyo modo yakwifashishwa no mu zindi ndimi zo mu karere gafite aho duhurira n'ikinyarwanda, ndetse na bantu language nk'ukuntu ubona ko bifite ahantu hose zihurira. Ariko ibyo byose rero ntabwo twe ku rwego rwacu ikintu ni ukuvuga ngo ni ukubaha ubwo burenganzira bwo kugira ngo bakorane n'abashinzwe ururimi rw'ikinyarwanda, afite inshingano mu muco n'ururimi rw'ikinyarwanda, kugira ngo wa mugani banoze, kuko ibindi byose ni annotation. Ni ukuvuga ni uburyo gusa wowe za data uzishyira muri iyo modo yawe, ukazitraininga muri iyo modo, ugatoza modo ukoresheje imbonwa ufite. Noneho ikizavamo rero cyaba kinoze, cyaba byoroshye, ubwo nabivuga wenda mu buryo like the cost of training, kuko hari igihe ushobora gutraininga na data mbi ugasanga bigutwaye igihe kirekire, ariko traininze na data ntoya ugasanga bigutwaye igihe gitoya. Hari na cost ibi linked kuri iyo process yo kugira ngo ugire a fully fledged model ushobora gudeploying. Icyo wenda nicyo navugaho, ariko duhora dukorana n'abantu bose bashaka binjira muri ikoranabuhanga, cyane cyane abari exploiter ikinyarwanda, kugira ngo barebe ko bakinoza, nyine bakore modo zinoze. Ibyo rwose turabifite, dufite n'ukuntu dukorana nabo, tukabahuza n'abandi bantu bakorana natwe, digital umuganda baba hari n'abandi ba expert. Dufite n'ama communities of practice rwose bakora kuri NLP, zaba z'ikinyarwanda zaba z'ibindi. Kandi wa mugani nkuko Marika bivuze, AI ni nini na applications zayo ni nyinshi, ariko dufite aho tugomba wa mugani guhera. Naho kuri ibyo bya dark side, like nabyo wenda mbivuge mu buryo bit systematic, nkurikije na policy. By the way, let me just really briefly talk about the policy. Like the policy has pillars. I know you can still go online and read. Please visit our website and read the policy. Again, I really encourage people to read some of these policies, because sometimes we need like your feedback. All the time we need your feedbacks, and some of you are subject matter experts, and they probably would maybe add or maybe challenge some of the points that have been invoked in the policy. But the policy has like three big pillars, the ones that I call the enablers, the ones that I would call the accelerators, and the one that I would call like the ones that are safeguarding. So the ones that are safeguarding, I think that's where you guys are, that's where the question is issued, like how to address this dark side of AI. So talked about that pillar is about really practical ethical guidelines. For accelerators, of course, is like how are we going now to promote AI into the private sector and the public sector. Again, here we're talking about use cases and how can we streamline all these efforts. The policy talks, the implementation side of the policy talks about really coming up with a responsible AI office. That responsible AI office has already been established. It is being staffed by now, and it has that mandate, of course, of establishing those guidelines, ethical guidelines to promote the responsible AI use. Of course, having that framework really comprehensive, that is comprehensive. But when we're talking about this again is also a collective effort. For instance, the needs of the ministry, the health sector wouldn't necessarily be the same needs with the education in terms of data governance, in terms of all these ingredients that would enable AI to thrive. So basically, I would just mention that. But nonetheless, whenever we are promoting these policies, we don't want to be inhibited by the fact that there is a negative factor. So we would always fight that negative factor, but while promoting the opportunities, because we believe AI has a lot of opportunities. Talked about like that's why what we're trying to see with the policy, where as much as we're talking about ethical guidelines and all the frameworks to try to push back all these negative effects that are associated with AI, we're also really trying to see how can we promote investment, how can we build capacities to our young people, to everyone, the literacy that Pamela was talking about. As you all know, like in the near future, everyone will be subjected to AI tool one way or another. At least now, ChatGPT is being everyone is now using it. But also, let me also talk about Rwanda is not like is not an island. We're working with others. As of now, as I'm speaking, maybe just for the benefit of the audience, Rwanda is now spearheading the Commonwealth Small States AI agenda, and we are working on a couple of projects there. But also we've signed like agreements with Singapore. We are really in contact with even those countries that are somewhere there ahead in this AI journey. But again, let me also emphasize, or maybe call upon the people who are here, even the people who are listening to us, that with the Kigali Innovation City, that we think it's the holy grail of innovation, if I may call it like that. We will be promoting innovation a lot, and AI, of course, is part of that, because we see like that it has like that potential of leapfrogging Rwanda to the projected to its projected vision. So again, with this Kigali Innovation City, we're even I'm speaking, we've done a feasibility study on a museum, on a science museum. I think some of the knowledgeable people who are here could take advantage of that and join us, and then we come up maybe with a comprehensive even museum. Why not this museum really reflecting our artifacts and all our culture wealth that we have? So basically, let me just finish from there, and sorry for me taking long.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you so much. You really tackled different aspects and revealing some of the projects that are in the pipeline. I'd love to summarize this in Kinyarwanda, but because of time, allow me to. We really have a few questions to conclude. But Mr. Ejid, I really think you have a burning intervention. Could you briefly, please, intervene and share your thought or question? Thank you.
Yeah. So the question is, I think the question is largely of the infrastructure. If you say, can AI align with Rwandan culture, values, and ethics? It's pretty much about infrastructure, because think about like the largest the AI models today, what they call the frontier models. These LLMs, think about OpenAI or Llama or those guys. Their models are so large that most of them were trained over hundreds of millions. Even I think the GPT-4 was trained on 1 trillion parameters. And when I'm talking about parameters, pretty much talking about the weights or the biases in the neural link. So these are giant models, and they're trained with a lot of data. And this is a lot of English stuff, English language, English culture, a bunch of social media stuff. And so if you're talking about aligning with running values, you're talking about language, because values and culture is language. So we need to train these models with Kinyarwanda, and we need to train it with a lot of Kinyarwanda. But again, if these large frontier models, some of them open source, if these are billions, up to trillions of parameters, to be able to remove that bias, that Western culture to Rwandan culture, you need to fine tune these models. Some of you could pretty much like fork on one of the open source model, and you need to train it in Rwanda with so much data, so that you introduce a lot of weights in Kinyarwanda and biases. And the words Ignatius talked about, the way LLMs work, they're pretty much just they're predictive machines. All they do is predict. So it doesn't matter how much a Kinyarwanda word is complex or long, it's all about tokenization. How do you tokenize a word? But if I tokenize a word that has different meanings, those weights or the biases in the LLM, in the model, if you're talking about, I'm talking about transformers right now, the LLMs, like large language models. I'm really, and every time you talk AI today, people hear they talk about, they hear LLMs. So if you're talking about getting these models to understand Kinyarwanda, you're talking about infrastructure, you're talking about training them on so much data so that the biases from the Western culture is kind of overrun. So we would need billions of Kinyarwanda introduced. We need billions of weights from Kinyarwanda culture and language introducing these models to be able to overcome them and to be able to align with our culture. And next thing, we would have to host these large models in Rwanda, because like right now, actually this week, I'm in Kigali. I've been here for 7 days, and in the US, I'm always running AI models. I try out all different models, but the latency, if I'm trying to like get inference from here, the latency is like at least 10 times longer. That is very long. And yesterday I was trying out the new OpenAI, the O1. That one, it takes like 20, 30 seconds before I get a response in Kigali. But in the US, usually it's about 10 times faster. So if you're talking about overcoming these cultural values and ethics, you're talking about really fine-tuning, picking one of the models. You can pick any open source model, or maybe work with OpenAI and fine-tune it with so much Kinyarwanda language, so much words, so that it gets the context. Because again, those long words, it's all about context. And it gets, let's say you pick a word like Inyamibwa, maybe an LLM will tokenize that in 2 words, Inyami, maybe Bwa. And so, because those Bwa could be found in so many words, when you're prompting, it needs to understand the context of where that word is used. And that's why you have to provide so much material that has so much context, so that the LLM model will know when the word is used, even if the word means 5 different words, but it can understand the context. Again, you have to know this. You have to understand that LLM models, like these are based on transformers, all they do is predict. They're not smart. They're not thinking. They are predicting. So like they're just predicting the next word, and they predict the next word based on so many words they have seen. So anyway, so what I'm trying to say is, to overcome this, we have to have infrastructure here in Kigali to fine-tune these models locally with so much language, so much writing, so much books, maybe some within Rwandan language provided by Rwandans and fact-checked within Rwanda, so that we are training them. We are looking at these biases, at these weights and these parameters to know that they actually, our cultures and values are coming before the original English. Again, if it's 400 parameters, if you want to overcome those 400 million parameters, you need to put in millions of parameters yourself. Anyway, so What I'm trying to say is running inference. So, for people who don't understand, running inference is when you prompt an AI model to get a response. That's running inference. So every time you're here in Kigali and you type in GPT, what's the capital of Gabo, for example, the LLM will be running on some server somewhere in the US. And so what happens is that latency, these are giant models. These are terabytes of data running on hard drives. And now you need so much computing to access so much data on these hard drives. So you need a lot of computing, you need a lot of storage. And so we would need to have a data center here in Kigali dedicated to run these models. And it would have to be fast. But then GPUs that run these models, they are very, very expensive. Like a single GPU costs over $30,000.
Thank you.
So if you're talking about I was gonna say, for example, if you talk about to fine tune one, you need maybe 30 GPUs. You're talking tens of millions of dollars or billions of dollars. Anyways, to summarize, I was saying the question is largely of infrastructure. We need fast internet. We need data centers in Kigali. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ejid. Thank you so much for your intervention. And we're really looking at the time here, but let's see how far we can go. Chantal, allow me to bring you in. I'd like your intervention and quite a number of comments coming in. So let me just read one of them and you can give us your intervention about it. This is Ivan. He says, as you aim to fully appreciate AI, be ready to give up on culture and take up the Western value of moral decadence. Do you agree or not agree?
Actually, I don't agree. Based on what my colleague said, I may say that AI models, when are really well trained on cultural and Rwandan values, they are not biased. Actually, AI systems, they learn from data, and biased data can lead to a biased outcomes. That's what he was thinking when he said that we should abandon the Rwandan culture. But if we put an effort as everyone who is committed to have Rwandan culture, Rwandan values being promoted everywhere, and if we all engage in providing accurate information about what we really have here, I'm sure Rwanda will thrive and Rwandan culture will be promoted. And those even Europeans he's mentioning will really want to be Rwandans. That's what I can say.
Thank you. Yes, Tessie, you want to go ahead?
That's all right. Thank you so much, Chantal. And I actually wanted to hear from Pamela as well. What would be her intervention regarding this?
Sorry, Tessie, can you hear me?
Yes, Pamela, we can hear you.
Yeah, I thought my internet was breaking. So I disagreed with that person, just like Chantal. If we say we are going to drop or forget about our culture because of AI, I think in the first place, that would mean that we are not confident about our culture, or we are not even aware of what our Rwandan culture is or means. Because I want to repeat this, we should see AI as an opportunity. Who go invest a lot more in it. Just saying. So I want us to see it as an industry, as some platform that generates information for us. Nkuko tubona ChatGPT ukagenda ukandikamo I want this and that, give me this, summarize this book for me, tell me about this and that. Ahubwo we also need to see it as an industry, aho twebwe duproducing, aho dushobora gukora production of information, of content. I believe maybe Victor did not talk about that much. Ariko icyo yavuga, I think harimo ibintu biri ongoing. ama data centers cyangwa se uko guhuza abantu batandukanye kugira ngo tugaburire nyine iyo AI, tugaburire izo systeme, tuzifeedinge, iriya exercice Malik yavugaga, abandike, abacalenjinge, abakosore, abana bagenerating content, aba expert mu bintu bitandukanye. So iyo comment umuntu yarakoze kuri njye wenda yibonamo ikintu cy'ubwoba, ndayibonamo ikintu cyo gutinya, gucika intege, to back off, kureba kwa kundi n'ubundi twahoze tureba technology na mbere hose tukareba nk'ikintu cy'igikoko kije kuduteza ibibazo, kije kudukura mu kazi, kije so ntekereza ko dukeneye kubireba mu bundi buryo buri positive, tukavuga ngo ahubwo niba umuntu ashobora kuza akandikamo ikintu hano kikamuha amakuru, reka ayo makuru ahubwo aba ariyo dukoraho mu buryo bwose bushoboka. So I believe kuri history level hari uburyo buhari bwo guhuza aba experts batandukanye, bakageneratinga iyo information, bagakosora ibigomba gukosorwa. Ahubwo niba bihari wenda Victor atubwira, kandi namwe mwateguye iyi space, mukomeze mutegure n'ibindi, dukore iyi exercise, dukomeze tubiganireho. I believe ko hano tuhigira ibintu byinshi. Abantu benshi hano, sinzi how many people are on this space, ariko abantu benshi bashobora kuba bumva AI bakumva SWAT robots cyangwa bakumva ChatGPT, kandi hari ibindi bintu byinshi ari ikintu kigari cyane. So let's learn. Ndashaka kubisubiramo. Literacy is very key, education is very key, n'izindi investments zose zishobora gukorwa kugira ngo abantu we leverage on this, this opportunity, we leverage on these platforms, we leverage on these systems. Kandi u Rwanda nk'igihugu kireba kure, gikataje mu iterambere rishingiye ku ikoranabuhanga, this is the moment, this is a opportunity ahubwo yo kubishyiramo imbaraga, aho kuvuga ngo biraje bitwicira umuco. Oya, ahubwo uwo muco wacu turawigisha abandi gute, nk'uko Chantal yavugaga, ahubwo abanyamahanga nabo bazifuza kuba abanyarwanda, turawubigisha gute, turabaha amakuru gute, kugira ngo everything they need to know about Rwanda bashobore kubibona, ari twebwe abanyarwanda twebwe ubwacu dufite iyo content iri original tuyibihereye. So njyewe mbivuze as a user, as an end user, mu rurimi rworoshye rutari technical rwa na Egide, ariko tukwiye kubibona muri ubwo buryo. Murakoze.
Urakoze cyane Pamela, thank you very much. We've run past the planned time, ariko allow me to hear briefly the interventions of James Munyaneza and Prince. James, can you hear me?
Yes, Davis. I mean, I want to really thank all the speakers for the insights shared, very rich insights from this conversation. And for me, my contribution, I was coming in from the perspective of the media and content creators generally. I think AI for me is an opportunity for us again to tell our story, for Rwandans, for the media in Rwanda, for the African media to tell the story. And I think previous speakers have put it so well that you have to put this content out there, because one of the challenges, of course, we face is the bias, that is on the across the content that we see on the internet as a result of the influence of Western media, especially, and then AI will pick that. So you cannot allow us to continue suffering to be at the receiving end of these narratives that are biased. I think it's an opportunity, it's a challenge, yes, but it's an opportunity also for us to put our story in there and to tell our story and to influence what the world should know about our country, our culture, our values, our continent, as a people as well. Of course, the issue of ethics will always come up, and I think it was addressed sufficiently. There's going to always be the human role. AI will not replace journalists, for instance, in our sector. But AI is there to facilitate us to do a better job, a good job, to be more efficient, to serve people, our audiences, more effectively, to be more precise in how we deliver our services. Of course, but we remain accountable, we remain responsible for what we are doing. And I appreciate what the government so far has done. If you look at the AI policy, if you look at data protection policy, if you look at what the government of Rwanda working with the government of Singapore, the blueprint put forward for small states in terms of where do we move to as small states at the UN level. We have a head start to begin from as Rwandans compared to maybe some other places in Africa. So I think it is an opportunity, much as the challenge. It is an opportunity, a huge opportunity for us in the media, for content creators, for our country, for the different sectors to really influence how the world gets to view us as a people, as a continent. Thank you so much, Davis, and thank you so much, Tacey, for steering this conversation this way. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Prince, briefly, can you please share your intervention as well?
Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Well, I'm not going to go into much about AI. I'm going to draw my challenges or my points in regards to the Rwandan cultural values and ethics. One of the colleagues here has mentioned some of the values, notably unity, patriotism, resilience. Now, you have mentioned the good and the advantages and the disadvantages of AI. Now you're forgetting the fact that actually Rwandans run on ethics. Yes, we do have different types of values and so on and so forth. We cannot ignore the fact that the world is developing, and then also we're going in that route as well. However, how is one going to implement these AI tools to imitate our cultures that are ran on ethics? How are you going to inform or going towards what Ajid said, all these inputs? How are you going to implement that? Number two, you've mentioned and prompts to you guys. Everybody's mentioned the AI, this AI, that. I haven't heard any one of you guys speaking about what are the culture values that we are promoting. Uh, we have this tendency of speaking about Rwandan culture, umuco nyarwanda, and neither one of us know really what umuco nyarwanda icyo ari cyo. So there's so many aspects. What I do appreciate is the fact that most of you agreed in coming together and first of all educate ourselves. And now, what do we start educating ourselves on? Our culture. That would be the first thing. Now, not ignoring the fact that obviously we need to develop with the rest of the world. However, how is one going to use this tool in a positive manner when they are less educated in what they are using the tool about? So for me, that's the challenge. And the other challenge is to one of the best example I can draw is, and I'm glad there's a member for the museum curator. There's a post that was done on Instagram. It's an example. I'm not gonna throw under the bus anybody who posted it. They posted three members of our old heritage families that were chiefs, but in naming them, they put completely different names for each of the pictures. Now, being one of the maybe family members, and I saw the initiative, but I had to correct. Uh, it was very sad to know that we're using these platforms. Let it be as easy as an Instagram, as easy as Twitter, as easy as Google. All these curators and everybody seem to be pulling a picture here, pulling a story there. N'ibyo byose twavuze ngo ibirenge bya Ruganzu, but nobody knows the stories, and these stories were given in 3 million complete different ways. Whoever you ask, they tell you different things. Now, Drawing to my last conclusion, for me, it will be challenging us ourselves to sit down and get embedded into our culture before we embrace these incoming cultures, which can also, yes, help us develop our countries. But what are we doing to make sure we know who we are as Rwandans into our cultures and our ethics and what we call Umuco Nyarwanda? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prince. Thank you for your input. We really are coming to an end of Twitter Space. We've had several comments come in. We have one from RM, the user called RM. Uh, Sorry, let me jump to Jean Paul's. Jean Paul's comment is AI is possible, but to think twice when it comes to culture and heritage of any country. Some discussions and decisions need to be made to allow integrate in our heritage, AI into our heritage. Uh, Nyirabahire Keza also intervened saying AI is a good tool for educating, for conserving, yeah. But remember that it is the tool controlled by people, those who are responsible for it. They have to be well informed to what they are feeding out. Some people here outside are behaving as nowhere they're from. That is from Keza. And one more comment from uh, Tony. Tony Mwiseneza said, in fact, AI not aligning with Rwandan cultural values and ethics is one of its negative effects, because what did we really pick from the Western cultures and didn't undermine our culture as Rwandans or Africans. And to conclude, there is a question from Nyonsaba Fridole. He asked, in which scenario does AI force us to adjust our culture, values, and ethics? Victor, do you want to wind up on this question as we conclude?
Hello? Yeah, I don't know why I'm not seeing that comment for me to read it properly, but you can still read it. I think I'm not going to be saying as
Yeah, Niyonsaba yabajije ati, in which scenario does AI force us to adjust our culture, values, and ethics?
wow, that's a good one. Um, do I think we should really adjust our culture just because of it? I don't know. I think we, if anything, if we're going, again, this is really my point of view. I think adjustment of any culture or some of these intrinsic things that they don't really necessarily depend on the technology, but rather how can we um, frame technology to embrace that culture. I think that would be the better route. But nonetheless, if there is anything to adjust, of course, wenda navuga naho byo kutitinya, kumakinga sure ko abari n'abategarugori rwose bitabira ikoranabuhanga, not shy, ariko nduvuga ngibi bimwe n'izindi politike ziriho zigenda rwose zibifasha. Abakobwa baritinyutse, nk'umuntu agenda bireba abona yuko wenda imibare bikiri mitoya ugereranyije, ariko ubu ngubu uko biri bigenda bifite progression. Sinzi niba bifite rero aho bihurira na culture cyangwa na history. Again, hari igihe ntekereza ko culture na history bishobora kuba nabyo bigomba kuba bitandukanye. Nevertheless, njye numva icyo nasubiza kuri aho ngaho, ariko hari abandi ba expert ku bintu by'umuco, of course, banabishinzwe mu nshingano zabo za buri munsi, bashobora kuduha maybe a better answer to this.
Sorry, Victor, I think before we close this space, allow me to just ask you one question as far as policy is concerned. AI technologies they're ever evolving. As Malik alluded to, it's such a wide thing, and they're ever evolving. So how can policymakers, and regulators stay ahead of the game instead of playing catch up as far as policy making and regulation is concerned?
Thank you. Well, I have like a quite, and surprisingly, I have like a very precise answer to this. Normally, that is the nature of everything, because innovation and technology, it's always in ahead of pace comparative to regulators and to policymakers. Nonetheless, I would just say that Rwanda has been developing a policy lab approach. Policy lab approach is a way to ensure that the policies are reflecting the needs, the current needs. And when we're talking about current needs, like needs that that have basis in the data, and the basis in a proper studies, rather than really just saying, okay, there is something new that is coming from X country, and of course they have this policy, so let's also copycat this policy and maybe put some context or contextualize it in Rwanda. That approach, I think we've moved away from that. Now we've actually adopted this new approach of actually really making studies, coming up with evidence-based policy making, of which that we have framed it into the policy lab framework. I don't know if I've really responded to that, but for this particular case with AI, it is again enshrined within the AI policy. It's all about really how do we stay at the forefront of AI? How do we make sure that we make the necessary connections with countries and companies? I think there is a colleague who's mentioning about the needs of infrastructure. We have connections with BARD, Google. We have connections with OpenAI. We're trying to really to forge these connections to make sure that all these needs will be catered for. But of course, it's going to always be like a collective effort. Of course, Minister of ICT being like having that mandate of promoting ICT and emerging technologies into the whole sector, into other sectors. These sectors, of course, come up with, they are the ones with the use cases. They are the ones who are trying to respond to a policy need. They are the ones that we're working with to ensure that AI could be utilized to their advantage. So it's more of a collective effort. But for your particular question, we have that framework that I mentioned, which is the AI, which is the policy lab. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Victor. Thank you so much to our speakers, Pamela and Malik, who dropped off, and Chantal. Thank you so much for making your time, sharing your insights, and enlightening and educating us about this new and rising technology. And our other people who really shared your insights. Thank you so much, and thank you everyone for tuning in. It was a pleasure having you. We really exceeded the time, but we really hope that you learned a thing, and that you will continue engaging with our hashtag TNT Spaces. If you like, please share your question, comments. We'll have speakers respond to them as time as you continue sharing them. And this is one of the spaces, and among other spaces that are yet to come. TNT, the New Times, is has an initiative to host Twitter spaces about different topics. If you have a topic you want us to discuss, feel free to share it. And if you have an interesting topic, an interesting subject, we are open to receiving your topics. So we'll have more in the future. Thank you so much. My name is David Sijura. I was your host today alongside Tessie. Bye.
Bye.